Alright guys, back with another Bambino Games video today, leg 5 of my cross-country trip from New York to LA. Today we're in St. Louis, Kilo Sierra Tango Lima, which is Lambert Airport in St. Louis, and we're heading to Oklahoma. It's going to be the Will Rogers Airport. It is Kilo Oscar Kilo Charlie. You can see here on my flight plan window up there, I've got my straight shot right to Oklahoma City, and it's 400 nautical miles. We're in the Carenado Seneca V, which is a twin-engine Piper, a lot of power. I bought this plane a while ago. I don't really fly it that often, but because the frame rates are really not great on it, it's really a frame rate hog. But I thought I would try it today, take it for a spin. Let's see, let's check out our airport here. As you can see, we're right there, general aviation air parking. So we're going to taxi to runway 30R. I'm using the 430 on this plane, and I've got two 430s, so I've got both set up with the flight plan. This way, I can easily see both displays. I could see the distance, and I could see the map itself. So G500, I really haven't used that much. It doesn't. I'm just going to declutter it here a little bit, but it allows you to see the GPS route, but I really haven't used it for flight planning, so I just figured I'd use the 430. We got plenty of fuel, full tanks. It's going to be about a 2-hour flight, got about 4 hours of fuel, so plenty there. We'll definitely be using our autopilot. Going to assume we did all the checklists here. Our engines are started, and we're good to go. All right, so let's say we got our clearance, and we're going to taxi to 30R. So here we go. As you can see, there's a little bit of stuttering. So the frame rates, this plane just takes up so much processing power. I really hope that Carenado kind of optimizes it. It's not an X-plane problem. It's got to be the plane itself. But in any event, it's a beautiful plane. I love to fly it. Very realistic, and get you there quick. So we're going to give it a go today. The Seneca V. I paid $35 for this plane. And actually, you know what? We're just going to take off right from here. Plenty of runway for us. So we'll just we'll line up and take off right here. So this will be a condensed flight. I tried a couple of times to stream this thing, but FlyInside and X-Plane just wouldn't cooperate. So, all right, we are good to go. Flaps are up. Everything's good to go. Here we go. We'll rotate at 80. And rotate. Positive rate. Have to clear the field here before we pick up our nav. GPS has already picked up the route, so let's get our gear up and get rid of this thing. Still climbing. I'm going to climb to 4,000. It's got great sound, this plane. Unlike the SR-22, which I also have from Carenado, the sound is awful in that plane. It's just, every time you move your head, it just gets louder, and it's just terrible. I have to actually turn the sound off to fly it, and the frame rates in that plane are abysmal. It's a great plane. I wish it was better, but the frame rates in that Carenado SR-22 are like, was it GSXT or whatever it is? It's like 15 frames per second, 18 frames per second. It's basically pretty much unflyable in VR. So unfortunately, I've come to find out that that's the case. All right, so we are clear of the airfield here. We're at 1900. We're going to climb to 4000. Good time for us to turn here to pick up our GPS. I just love the way the Seneca turns. It's just very realistic. And I love the way the cockpit looks. This is one of the first third-party planes I bought. All right, let's get our nav on. So we should be picking up the GPS. So again, we're going to climb to 4000. Slow climb up. Get ourselves on track here. We got a few things to talk about today. See, we do get our route displayed on the G500. Now, to turn the autopilot off on this, you hit the elevator trim and that turns it off. Now, I will tell you that these Garmin displays are very small in the cockpit here. So in VR, I mean, you do have to kind of go up close to be able to read them. The lettering is very, very small. All right, we're coming up to 4K, and we're going to hit the altitude. And we should settle down at 4000. And hopefully we'll get on our route here, which we're starting to make our turn. Holding nicely at 4000, a little above. And then we'll start to pick up some speed. Airport right there, in case we need to land right there. Other than that, a lot of flat terrain out here, so if there was critical issues, we could land. So just want to get the RPMs down on a little bit. I was in the red there on the manifold pressure, so I want to keep that in the green. Everything looking good. Oh, I still got my gear up? Do I? No, gear's up. Everything's good. We are maintaining about 4000. And we are on our heading. Let's see, so we've got 183 right now, ground speed. We got 2 hours and 7 minutes. There's the outer marker for that other airport. And 391 nautical miles to Will Rogers. So, we are off in the Carenado Seneca V. Nice plane. Again, the frame rates, 17 frames per second, not great. But, you know, usable. I mean, if I turn my head a lot, it's not. But you got to kind of turn your head slow in this plane. But it's such a nice plane. You know, I do like flying it, so I just wanted to show you guys what it would be like to fly it. And here we are. So let's get our map to zoom in here so we can see kind of where we're going. All right, so a couple things I wanted to talk about. Let me get my list here. Okay, so FlightSimCon news. Wow, a lot of stuff going on at FlightSimCon. Wish I could have been there. It's about 200 miles north of me. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but it would have been nice to have been there. I did watch some of the streams on Twitch, thanks to Josh Gibbs and a few other people. We're able to see kind of some of the things that were going on there. Yeah, so it looked pretty cool. It looks like it was pretty well attended. And hopefully it'll be there next year. I'm going to plan on going next year. So, but a couple of things that from the X-Plane Laminar research, they talked about X-Plane VR, and basically said that it looks like it's going to have the controllers are going to have force feedback. So, when you touch something in the cockpit, it gives you the force feedback, which is something FlyInside has as well. You're going to be able to teleport around the cabin, which was kind of cool, so you could change your views pretty quickly. It's going to be interesting to see how they use that teleport function. If it's anything like a game, like a VR game, you usually press down on the joystick button and point where you want to go, and the cabin's such a small thing. I'm not sure how quite they're going to do that, but we'll have to see. Personally, I haven't been a huge fan of using Oculus controllers in the cockpit, because the interface, I don't know, it just doesn't seem it doesn't seem to be as conducive as I had hoped it would have been. It's easier to kind of use the mouse and zero in on it, but maybe I'll get used to it. We'll see. There's going to be a walk around capability where you can get out of the plane and walk around, do your inspections in VR, which is very cool, right? The plane will look in 3D, which will be a cool thing. The idea is to have a hangar-themed home in VR. So that's like you have your 2D home page for X-Plane 11 when you sign in with all your planes and stuff. I would imagine they're going to have like a hangar theme that'll have all your planes in it, which would be kind of cool. So it looks like they're kind of doing things the right way. They plan to release VR support in the fall of this year. However, they're aiming for a constant 45 frames per second, and then adding improvements with a metal Vulcan, which they plan to use and support in sometime in late 2018. So that's sort of their VR roadmap. The overall roadmap is 11.02, which is out in beta, is all about increasing frame rate, and that one should be GA pretty soon. Probably, I would bet within a week it'll be GA. So that's the first one. 05 is going to have, they said, more airports, so that should be interesting to see. Not sure which ones. And then in the summer, 11.1 is going to have G1000 and better physics and faster frame rates. So I'm hoping that means the Cessna 172 will have a all-glass cockpit as well. Be kind of interesting to have that. If you look into the livery files, there is a cockpit graphic that has the cutouts for the Garmin glass cockpits. So I'm assuming that's probably what they're going to be using. It would be cool to have that in the Cessna. So I'm hoping that's what it's going to be. And again, VR in fall of 2017 and Vulcan metal support in late 2018. So those are some of the things. I watched this morning a replay of a talk where they had Dovetail, Lockheed Martin, and Laminar all in the same room, and there was Q&A. Some really interesting questions. Someone posted it on the X-Plane Next Generation Facebook, so if you want to check that out, you can watch it, and there's some pretty interesting questions and answers from all three. And what I gathered from it was Austin Meyer in his normal fashion was very energetic and very responsive and seemed to be honest about X-Plane's strengths and weaknesses. I didn't really kind of get the same from Dovetail, and Lockheed is kind of like closer to the vest, but I don't know. Hard to say. I didn't really see the whole thing. I just saw parts of it. The Flight Sim World guys, Dovetail, I think they're really trying to develop something good that people are going to enjoy. To hit a certain market. I'm not sure if it's going to be hitting the same market as X-Plane does, but it certainly seems like they're sincere. So that was Look on that. Look for that on the X-Plane Next Generation Facebook. Pretty interesting stuff to watch. The other thing that came out was FlyInside. I caught the tail end of a stream that someone had put up where Daniel Church was speaking. It was interesting because I didn't really hear him say it because I didn't hear the whole thing, but it sounded like FlyInside announced that they're going to be developing their own flight simulator, which is really ambitious considering the field that they're going to be going up against. So you got X-Plane 11 that's probably been doing it for over 10 years, and you got Flight Sim World by Dovetail Games. So FlyInside, it looks like they're going to be making their entry into the flight sim market. It sounded like, from what Daniel Church said, that all that they've learned about doing add-ons for flight simulation, they've learned so much about how to develop it that they really feel that they can develop something groundbreaking. So anxious to see that. The guys at FlyInside have always been kind to me and helpful, and so it sounds like they're going to be developing their own flight sim. They also talked about improvements in the VR add-on modules. One thing that they said that they are working on is an X-Plane to give you multiple views rather than just the cockpit view, which would be really welcomed, especially for me, person who's streaming VR and wants to give different views. So in any event, that was good news. I'm going to try to get more information about their flight sim, and looking forward to that, to finding out more about that and trying it out, hopefully. Josh Gibbs did take his live stream around the floor of the exhibits. There are a lot of people there. It's really good to see that there's a community around flight simulation. It is becoming more and more advanced, especially in the VR space, which is something that I'm interested in. Probably you guys are, since you're watching this video. So it's good to see. One point, he was at the Laminar booth, and they were showing a couple of people, one with a Vive and one with a Rift, flying in VR native in X-Plane 11. So I can only wonder what that was like. Probably pretty damn cool. Yeah, so we'll be anxious to check that out. Alrighty, so that was FlightSimCon, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more. Check out on Twitter, if you do hashtag FlightSimCon, you can probably find out some more information. I'm sure there'll be more and more reports next week about the highlights and stuff of the last 2 days. So I look forward to checking that stuff out. But that's just the stuff that I could glimpse from watching the live streams. So Pilot Edge. So I've been flying a lot more in Pilot Edge. I put up 2 videos this weekend on my Cat 1, which I passed, thankfully, and also the flight back from the Cat 1. Really getting into it. I can't wait to get more into it. It's a lot of fun. It really is. It just gives you more sense of a purpose when flying in Flight Simulator. So looking forward to that. I found out that those guys at Pilot Edge are from New Jersey, which is pretty close to where I live, and I'm hoping that might mean that someday they may do ATC for the metropolitan area here in the Northeast. So that would be kind of cool. But in any event, yeah, those guys are from New Jersey, which is great. That's interesting to see. But yeah, so I'm really, really digging that. And I want to mention one other YouTuber. His channel is Uncertified Pilot. His name's Tim. I think he's from Holland. Check him out, Uncertified Pilot. He's got about 70 plus videos up on his channel, all about his path of learning how to fly in a simulator, in particular on Pilot Edge. His videos have been really helpful to me, just to watch him go through what he goes through, to sort of, do a dry run before I did it. And I'm sure that would be helpful to others too. So check him out, Uncertified Pilot. Does a great job. I highly recommend subscribing to his channel if you're interested in flight sim and Pilot Edge. He flies the stock Cessna, which everybody has if you have X-Plane 11. Now, in his earlier videos, he was using P3D, so he used the stock Cessna and P3D. But somewhere, I forget, I'm not sure when, like a few months back, he switched over to X-Plane 11, and he's been using it since. So make sure you check out Uncertified Pilot. So, channel update. I'm going to bite the bullet. I know I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, but I'm going to bite the bullet, and I've got to send my Rift back to get a new one because the horizontal issue, the horizontal tilting issue is still there. Although it's much better than it was, it is still there, and they've offered to give me a new one, and I have to take them up on it. So, I'm going to be packing that up actually today and sending that back to California. I think it goes back to California. Probably going to take about 2 weeks for me to get my new Rift. That's what they're saying. They have to receive my old one first. Hopefully they'll process it faster than that. Get that back and get back in the VR cockpit. So between then, I'm going to be back doing 2D stuff. I'll probably do some FSW. We'll do some Train Simulator World. I'm thinking about getting a new game called Ride 2, which is a motorcycle game. Looks really cool. So I might do some of that. American Truck Simulator. So we'll be back into the 2D world a little bit until I get my Rift back. You know, hey, what are you going to do? I have to do it, and I just got to bite the bullet and do it. So anyway, that's going to happen next week. So it'll be a little bit of change in content, but then we'll get right back to the VR flying as soon as I get my Rift back. Okay? So I wanted to talk about Ortho 4XP. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this on previous videos, but I spent some time last weekend creating tiles for all of the Pilot Edge Green map, which is the regular entry-level $179 a year Pilot Edge map. Lots of airports in there, plenty of places to fly. Figured that would be a good starting point. And I also did a few tiles in the Northeast, in areas where I like to fly, where I live and stuff. I think it was, maybe a total of like 50 tiles or something like that. It took up probably about 100 gig, so it takes up quite a bit of space. But I'm really glad I did it because it makes a big difference. It really does. Now, what you're seeing here is not Ortho 4XP. This is the stuff from AIPilotX.org or .net or whatever it is. So it's free. You could download the HD mesh, which I did for all of North America just to make it look a little better. I'm thinking heavily about getting a 4 terabyte hard drive, not SSD, obviously, because that would be ridiculously expensive, but a 4 terabyte hard drive, and doing tiles for the entire East Coast and West Coast, places where I fly the most, because I think it's going to take probably at least a terabyte, maybe more, to do the stuff that I want to do. So I'm thinking about doing that. I'm not sure if I'm going to get into that right away because I'm going to start to get more into the Pilot Edge stuff and FS Economy. So, I think when FS Economy, I start doing that, I could probably pick flights in the areas where they have the Ortho, so it'll look cooler and stuff. So in any event, that's the plan with the Ortho. Stick with what I got right now, and then maybe down the road get like a 4 terabyte drive and implement that. So on the subject of computer parts, so right now I've got an i6700, not the K. I bought a 6700 non-clockable. So that CPU is like 3.5 gig, I think, and it turbo boosts up to 4.2. Okay? I mean, it's a great processor, but I'm looking on eBay, and I could sell that thing for like $250, and I could buy a 770K for like $320. So basically, for $70, I can upgrade to a 770K, which would get me, what is that, 4.5 gigahertz? So it'll be a faster CPU, quite an improvement, actually, in CPU power. So I'm strongly considering switching out my CPU. But that's the plan. I figure for $70, what am I improving my CPU by like 25%, I think it is. I actually looked at, there's a website I found that said it's about a 23 to 25% increase in processing power, which is significant, right? And especially in X-Plane and TSW and FSW, these are all games that are very CPU intensive. So having that more powerful CPU, I think, will make a difference for my experience, and maybe it'll even improve things in planes like this, like the Carenado planes. My bet is that they're very CPU intensive because I'm running this on a 1080 Ti, and if I'm only getting, what the hell am I getting here? 20 frames per second, that has to do with the CPU. But listen, every frame you can squeeze out is good. That's the way I look at it. So in any event, that's the plan. If you've got any ideas or suggestions on that, let me know. Because when I looked at it, I mean, I could sell the 6700 used for like $250. I mean, that's great. And I could just get the 770. That'd be awesome. So hopefully, if I do that, everything will go okay, and I won't have any major issues. But in any event, that's the plan here. I think that's pretty much all the stuff I wanted to talk about today. So why don't we go into fast flight mode and check out some of the scenery. Alright guys, we're 41 nautical miles outside of Will Rogers World Airport. Kilo Oscar, Kilo Charlie. Someday I'll get those that nomenclature right. Yeah, so about 13 minutes on the clock if we're maintaining our speed, which we won't be. We'll be slowing down here pretty soon. But I figure this is a good time to take a look at our airport. So let's pull up the binder. We love this binder capability. Just have the airports right there. Airport diagram. We're going to fly into Will Rogers World, OKC. We're going to take 35 right. That's a north and south configuration, so we're going to have to, we're heading a little southwest. So we'll have to head to the south a little bit to enter a glide slope for that runway. And what we'll do is we'll taxi to, I guess we'll go over to, let me just see here. We're going to land right here, and we'll probably, let's just keep taxiing all the way down, and we'll see if we can exit right here and taxi over here. We'll call this general aviation right there. All right, and that should be good to go. So pretty simple. So one thing I noticed here is that the G500 on the Seneca is messed up. If you look there very closely, my airplane's in the middle, and I'm to the right of the magenta GPS route, but on the 430, I'm right on top of it. Now, on my compass, my GPS is lined up perfectly, that magenta arrow. So I'm assuming that G500 is not calibrated properly. I've got to go by the G530, but that's kind of a messed up thing. I mean, if I was using that G500 to follow that route, yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. But in any event, just kind of noticed that. It's kind of interesting. So we've got about 35 miles here. Let's get there quick. Alright guys, well we had a little bit of a X-plane FlyInside glitch, so had to take this one again here. We're about 15 miles away from the airport. We've taken a south vector here to put ourselves on the glide path for runway 30R. As you can see there on the map, 30R runs south to north. We're going to pick that up and fly right into Will Rogers. A few miles here, we'll start to turn into Will Rogers. Now, if we were in regular ATC, they'd be telling us exactly where to turn and stuff, but I'll figure it out by using the map. 12 miles south of the airport. See, we're moving along there. Pretty soon we'll start to turn here and pick it up. Should be able to, maybe able to see the airport right over there. Let's see. Here's Oklahoma City. Don't see the airport. That's okay. We'll just use the maps. We'll be able to figure it out. I do love the way this Carenado Seneca flies. Very realistic. Probably one of the more realistic planes that I have. I haven't landed it a lot, so hopefully I'll be okay on the landing. Gotta make sure we keep enough speed. I think I want to probably land at about 90 knots, somewhere around there. Alright, so we could start to probably turn in here. See if we can get a handle on our airport. Right over there. Okay, good. We know where we're going. Right there. So that's where we're going to go. So now I should be flying perpendicular. That's perpendicular. These frame rates are so low, 16, that everything just moves so slowly. You don't get real time. When the frame rates are like below 20, I think, it really kind of alters things, so that's one of the problems. Oh, there's my airport there. Damn, I'm right on top of it. All right. Well, this is going to be interesting, so go over here. We are going down quick. Alright, this is not the pattern that I wanted, but we'll make it work. Flaps down 10%. Start to slow the plane down. We'll turn into runway 30R. Make sure to have enough airspeed. Plane slowing down 130. Flaps at 20. Alright, now we're really starting to slow down. Alright, we got a good glide slope here. Elevation's about 1,300 feet. Gears down. Gas is good. Prop is good. Mixture's good. And we are on final. Flaps to full. Just seems like it's slow motion. Need to get over to the left a little bit. Get things lined up right. 90 knots. Plenty of runway. Good rate of descent. Take our time. Let it float in nicely. And we are down. Flaps up. Alrighty, good. Like I said, I haven't landed this plane much, so I was a little nervous there. Well, why don't we take this exit right here? And that's our trip from St. Louis to Oklahoma City. Big leg of the trip, 400 nautical miles we knocked out there, which is nice. Let's see if we can, maybe we can go into this, we'll go into this hangar over there. Put put our Seneca up for the night. Probably fly a different plane next time. Got enough room there? Should be enough room. Yep. All right, let's set our brake. Brake set. All right, guys, that was our flight. Thanks for flying along with me. Next leg is going to be from here to, geez, I forget, but it's about 300 nautical miles. But that'll be leg 6. We're about halfway done, I believe, probably like the halfway mark. Appreciate you guys flying along. Hit the like button if you like what you saw today. Don't forget to subscribe to Bambino Games for more X-Plane 11 in VR. Have a great day, guys, and fly safe.